The space station buzzed with life, a sprawling nexus of alien species converging for trade, diplomacy, and most importantly, leisure. The bar, perched atop the upper promenade, was the crown jewel of the station, a riot of color and sound. Walls shimmered with shifting iridescence, reflecting the vibrant hues of patrons gathered around. Drinks in glowing vials, frothy orbs, and crystalline decanters decorated the tables, each a testament to the galaxy's proud and diverse cultures. Behind the bar, a six-armed VRN bartender deftly poured a shimmering, violet liquid into a chalice that appeared to hum with power. He grinned, his mandibles clicking in satisfaction as he slid the drink across the counter to a towering reptilian patron. VYRN's flame, the bartender proclaimed with pride. The strongest spirit in the galaxy. Handle it with care. The reptilian accepted the drink, his scaled snout curling into a smirk as he downed the contents in one defiant gulp. Gasps rippled through the room as the alien's eyes briefly glowed, his body visibly trembling before he let out a low, rumbling laugh. Impressive, he rasped, slamming the chalice down. But it takes more than that to topple a Kralvin. Such displays were common here, where the measure of a drink's potency and its consumer's resilience held as much weight as intergalactic treaties. The bar wasn't just a watering hole. It was a battlefield of pride, where species tested their mettle against legendary concoctions. Amid the din, a group of 5 humans entered. They moved without fanfare, slipping through the crowd and taking seats near the bar's edge. Unlike the elaborate robes and armor worn by many patrons, the humans dressed simply, utility jackets and work boots, as if they'd just stepped off a cargo hauler. They don't look like much, a wiry, blue-skinned Zlith whispered to his companion, nodding toward the newcomers. Humans, right? Newer species. Weak constitution, I hear. His companion, a squat being covered in chitinous plates, snorted. Barely out of their home system. Probably here for the spectacle, not the drinks. The humans seemed oblivious to the murmurs. One of them, a tall woman with cropped black hair and a confident demeanor, scanned the bar. Her name was Captain Elena Carter, and she led her crew with a sharp wit and sharper instincts. Next to her, Owen, the crew's mechanic, adjusted his cap and grinned. What do you think, Cap? Do we introduce them to Earth's finest, or let them keep their illusions? Elena chuckled. Let's see what they're serving first. Can't challenge the local champions without knowing the competition. The bartender noticed them and approached, his mandibles clicking in curiosity. Humans, You're far from home. What brings you to the Nebula Drift? Trade, Elena replied smoothly. And curiosity. We heard this bar's famous for its drinks. You heard correctly, the bartender said, gesturing toward a glowing menu projected in midair. Our finest is the VYRN's flame, unmatched in strength and sophistication. His tone held a note of challenge, a test to see if the newcomers dared to try it. Elena glanced at the menu, noting the animated descriptions of drinks claiming to cause mild hallucinations or temporary levitation. She smiled politely. Sounds impressive, but we might have brought something of our own to share. The bartender tilted his head, intrigued. A human beverage? And what might that be? Owen reached into his satchel and pulled out a bottle of clear liquid. The label, slightly worn from travel, bore the simple word Everclear. He placed it on the counter with a flourish, drawing curious glances from nearby patrons. It doesn't look like much, the bartender observed, picking up the bottle and examining it. No color, no shimmer. Are you sure this isn't just purified water? Elena smirked. Don't let appearances fool you. That bottle contains a distilled spirit from Earth, one of the strongest we produce. The bartender's mandibles clicked again, this time in amusement. Stronger than a flame? Why don't we find out? Elena suggested, her voice carrying just enough challenge to pique the room's interest. The buzz of conversation dimmed as the bartender poured a small measure of Everclear into a glass. He sniffed it cautiously, his antennae twitching. Nearby patrons leaned in, their curiosity palpable. The first brave volunteer, a Zlith with an overabundance of confidence, stepped forward. I'll try it, he declared, snatching the glass before anyone could protest. The humans exchanged knowing glances but said nothing as the Zlith raised the drink in a mock toast. To discovering the strength of humans, he proclaimed, tipping the glass back. What followed was nothing short of theatrical. The Zlith's blue skin darkened, his eyes widened, and he emitted a series of involuntary chirps. He staggered backward, clutching his throat as if to contain the fire spreading through him. A collective gasp swept through the bar as the alien collapsed into a chair, muttering, "What is that stuff?" Owen chuckled. "Told you it's strong?" The bartender looked at the bottle with renewed respect. "What proof is this?" "About 95% pure alcohol," Elena replied casually. Murmurs erupted among the patrons, some incredulous, others eager to see who else would dare try. One by one, aliens approached, each determined to outdo the last. The results ranged from comical to outright chaotic. A bulbous being with gaseous appendages emitted a low whistle that caused nearby glasses to shatter, while a furry creature known for its durability passed out cold after a single sip. Through it all, the humans remained composed, sipping their drinks and exchanging amused commentary. As the chaos grew, so did the whispers. The humans weren't just newcomers anymore. They were anomalies, bearers of a substance that defied the galaxy's strongest contenders. The bartender finally set the bottle down with a reverent nod. "I underestimated you, humans. Your drink is formidable." Elena raised her glass in acknowledgement. "We like to think it represents us well. Simple, unassuming, but with a kick you'll never forget." Around them, the bar buzzed with anticipation, the atmosphere electric with the possibility of more surprises. Elena leaned back in her chair, her smile hinting at secrets yet to be revealed. The bartender's mandibles twitched in a gesture that might have been a smile. "Perhaps the galaxy has more to learn from humans than we thought." The bar hummed with a tense excitement, the air thick with anticipation as aliens of every shape and size crowded closer. Word had spread quickly. The humans had brought something extraordinary, something that had already toppled a half-dozen of the galaxy's toughest drinkers. Whispers darted through the crowd, conjectures mingling with disbelief. What kind of species could create a liquor so potent that even the most resilient beings faltered after a single sip? Elena watched the scene unfold with a calm expression, her fingers idly drumming on the table. She had seen this before, pride mixed with skepticism, the unspoken need to prove superiority. It was universal, regardless of species. She leaned toward Owen, who was chuckling at the reactions around them. "How long do you think they'll keep trying?" "Until one of them manages to keep their feet, I'd guess," he replied, tipping his chair back. "Or until they decide we're cheating." A towering insectoid alien, its carapace glinting under the bar's shifting lights, stepped forward. Its multifaceted eyes gleamed with determination as it gestured at the bartender. "Pour me a full measure," it commanded in a voice that buzzed and clicked. The bartender hesitated, his 6 arms twitching in uncertainty. "Are you certain, Drask?" "The others." "I am not the others," Drask interrupted, its mandibles clicking sharply. "The strength of the Quorath is unmatched. I will show these humans their place." Elena raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. She'd learned long ago that words weren't necessary in moments like this. Actions spoke louder, and Everclear had a voice of its own. The bartender poured a generous serving into a heavy glass, his antennae trembling as he slid it toward Drask. The alien lifted the glass with 2 clawed appendages and tilted its head as it examined the liquid. "Clear and odorless," it remarked with disdain. "A drink with no soul. Drink it or don't," Owen said, his tone light but his grin sharp. With a low, resonating hum, Drask tipped the glass back and swallowed. For a brief moment, it seemed unimpressed. Then its carapace began to vibrate, a faint whirring sound emanating from within its thorax. Its legs wobbled, and it steadied itself on the bar with a hiss. This is unnatural," it rasped before collapsing into a heap of chitin and limbs. The bar erupted into laughter and applause. Even the bartender, who had maintained a professional demeanor, allowed himself a brief chitter of amusement. Drask's bodyguards hauled the unconscious alien away, muttering about dignity and foolishness. The mood in the bar shifted. What had started as curiosity had become something else entirely, a challenge, a trial by fire. A new contender stepped forward, this one shorter but broad and covered in a dense layer of fur. Its voice was deep and rumbling as it addressed Elena. "I am Rorvith of the Tundrak," it said. "We endure sub-zero climates and the crushing gravity of our homeworld. Your drink will not best me." Elena smiled faintly. "We'll see." The bartender prepared another glass, this time offering it with a flourish. The crowd held its collective breath as Rorvith downed the shot, its fur bristling in a wave as the alcohol hit its system. For a moment, it stood firm, then began to sway. Its deep voice slurred as it tried to speak, but all that emerged was a garbled roar before it collapsed, shaking the floor. Elena exchanged a glance with Owen. "2 for 2, he said, barely suppressing his laughter. As the chaos unfolded, the humans remained calm, their casual demeanor only fueling the awe and frustration of the aliens around them. Species after species approached the bar, each more determined than the last, and each met the same fate. One alien's skin turned luminous before it toppled, while another emitted a series of high-pitched shrieks that sent nearby patrons diving for cover. Finally, a hush fell over the room as a new figure approached. It was tall and cloaked, its face obscured by a veil of shimmering light. The bartender straightened, his mandibles clicking nervously. "A Delverin," he murmured. "Rare to see one here." The Delverin's voice was soft, but carried an undeniable weight. "Humans," it said, turning its veiled gaze toward Elena and her crew. "You have brought something remarkable, but you have yet to face one such as me. Shall we test your drink against the endurance of my kind?" Elena leaned forward, intrigued. She had heard of the Delverin, enigmatic and ancient. Their physiology was said to be unlike any other species. She gestured toward the bottle. "Be my guest." The bartender poured another glass, his hands trembling slightly. The Delverin took the drink, its movements fluid and precise, and raised the glass in a silent toast before drinking. For a moment, nothing happened. The room was deathly silent as the Delverin stood motionless, its posture regal. Then, slowly, it reached up and removed the veil. Its face was smooth and featureless, its skin like polished obsidian. A single crack appeared, splitting its flawless surface. Elena watched, her expression unreadable. "Well," she said after a pause, "that's a first." The Delverin's voice remained calm as it replaced the veil. "Your drink is formidable. I concede." It turned and left, disappearing into the crowd without another word. The bartender exhaled slowly, his mandibles twitching in disbelief. "I've served drinks to beings from every corner of the galaxy," he said, addressing the humans. "I've seen Tarskian warriors fall to the flame and Nebulan traders laugh off poisons that could fell a star beast. But I've never seen anything like this. What are you people made of?" Elena laughed, the sound warm and genuine. "Just a lot of practice," she said, raising her glass. The crowd erupted into cheers and laughter, the tension dissipating as patrons accepted their defeat with good humor. Drinks were raised in toast to the humans, and the bar's atmosphere shifted from rivalry to camaraderie. Owen leaned back, a satisfied grin on his face. "Think we made our point?" Elena took a sip of her drink, her eyes scanning the room. "Oh, I think we've only just started." The aftermath of the humans' triumph lingered in the air, an electric buzz of awe and disbelief. Aliens from every corner of the galaxy gathered in small groups, recounting the spectacle in hushed tones. Tables brimmed with half-empty glasses of alien liquors left forgotten in the wake of Everclear's dominance. The bartender, still holding the now infamous bottle, seemed torn between reverence and disbelief. Elena leaned against the bar, watching as the scattered remnants of the competition were carried or helped away. She swirled the remnants of her own drink, the faintest smirk tugging at her lips. "Not bad for a night out," she said to Owen, who was busy carving something into the table with a pocket tool. He glanced up. "You think they'll still let us trade after this? Kind of feels like we just embarrassed half the galaxy." "They'll trade," Elena replied. "We've earned their respect, even if they don't want to admit it." Besides, the more they talk about us, the more doors open. A little notoriety never hurts. Nearby, a squat insectoid alien approached, clutching its head and blinking slowly. Humans, it said in a buzzing voice, that beverage. Do you have more? Elena studied the alien amused. Its multifaceted eyes couldn't quite focus, and its mandibles clicked in an unsteady rhythm. We've got enough to share, she replied, nodding toward Owen. But it's not exactly something you drink casually. The alien hesitated, clearly weighing pride against the memory of what it had seen tonight. Finally, it straightened, albeit shakily. Wheat scryings are known for adapting. Perhaps a smaller portion. Owen laughed and poured a careful measure into the alien's glass. You've got guts, he said. I'll give you that. That scryan took a cautious sip, its antennae twitching as the liquid hit its system. This time, it didn't collapse, though its mandibles opened and closed in a way that suggested it was rethinking its life choices. Remarkable, it managed before retreating to a safer distance. As the evening wound down, the bartender approached Elena, the Everclear bottle cradled carefully in his upper arms. I have served here for 20 years, he said, his voice carrying a gravity that cut through the noise. I have tasted drinks older than your species' first spacefaring ventures. Yet tonight, I am humbled. Elena raised an eyebrow. Humbled? That's not something I expected to hear. The bartender's mandibles twitched in a gesture that might have been a smile. Strength is not always in the drink itself. It is in the spirit behind it, in the willingness to share something so uniquely yours. This, Everclear, it is more than just a drink. It is a message. She regarded him thoughtfully. And what message is that? That humans are not to be underestimated, he said simply. A ripple of quiet pride passed through Elena as she considered his words. She set her glass down and gestured to the bottle. Keep it, she said. Consider it a gesture of goodwill. If you ever run out, we're just a transmission away. The bartender blinked, his antennae rising in surprise. You would leave this here? Why not, she replied. It's only fair the galaxy gets a proper taste of Earth. Owen, who had been quietly listening, leaned in. Think they'll water it down? Probably, Elena said with a smirk. But that's their loss. As the humans prepared to leave, they found themselves intercepted by a delegation of aliens, representatives of various species, their postures tentative but respectful. The Delverin, now veiled once more, stood at the forefront. Humans, it said in its soft, resonant voice. You have made an impression tonight, one that will not soon be forgotten. Perhaps there is more your kind could offer to the galaxy. Elena inclined her head, meeting the Delverin's unseen gaze. We're always open to collaboration. What did you have in mind? There are ingredients, the Delverin began, rare and powerful, found only on distant worlds. Your skill in creating such potent beverages could benefit from these elements. In exchange, we would learn from your methods, your creativity. The proposal was unexpected, but not unwelcome. Elena nodded slowly, her mind already considering the possibilities. A trade, then. We bring our techniques, and you bring your resources. Sounds like a deal worth exploring. The Delverin bowed slightly, a gesture mirrored by the others in the group. Then let this be the start of something greater. Tonight was not just a contest. It was a meeting of cultures. As the delegation dispersed, the bartender approached once more, this time holding a small, glowing vial. A parting gift, he said, offering it to Elena. Nebula nectar. It is not as potent as your Everclear, but it is one of our finest creations. A taste of our own pride, if you will. Elena accepted the vial with a nod of gratitude. I'll treasure it, she said, tucking it into her jacket. The humans made their way to the exit, the hum of conversation following them like an echo. As they reached the airlock leading to their ship, Owen glanced back at the bar. Think they'll still be talking about us next time we come through? Absolutely, Elena said without hesitation. Good, Owen replied with a grin. Means we're doing something right. As the airlock closed behind them, sealing off the sounds of the station, Elena allowed herself a moment to reflect. The galaxy was vast and filled with challenges, but tonight had proven one thing beyond doubt. Humanity had something to offer, something that couldn't be measured in technology, or firepower alone. They'd come as strangers, unassuming and underestimated. Now, they left as legends, carrying with them the quiet satisfaction of knowing they'd carved out a place in the stars, one drink at a time.